I had an interesting little chat last week. A lot of people always say, I just knew. I just knew that something was off. But what does that mean? What does it mean to follow your intuition? I think that this is a really valid conversation. So let's get into it. Welcome to the Crazy Ex-Wives Club, a podcast dedicated to helping women navigate the emotional journey that is divorce. I'm your host, Erica, and if you're trying to figure out life after the big D, welcome to the club. Whether you're contemplating divorce or dealing with the aftermath or any of the many phases in between, the club has got you covered. Each week, you'll hear stories from women who have been in your shoes. This isn't about spilling tea on divorce details. This is about giving you the tools to take control of your own healing journey. Listen in weekly for advice, tips, and tools to help you move through each stage of the process. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Crazy Ex-Wives Club. I'm your host, Erica, and today I want to talk about how do you know, right? Everybody says, oh, my intuition knew. I should have trusted my intuition sooner. What the heck does that mean? So let's talk a little bit about what intuition really means, and then let's talk about some of those signs as they show up and why do we choose to ignore them. All right. So what is your intuition? The intuition, it's, the woo side. It's the woo side of the world. I love the word woo because people really are polarized by the word woo. If you've if you've ever gone to the website or anything, it talks about that I truly blend the woo and the do. And it is one of my favorite things to do, to take the woo, the creative, the concept, and turn it into the do, the linear, the strategy, the steps you have to take, because you can't have one without the other. I mean, you can do a lot of things. You can take a lot of action, but if you didn't line up your woo, your mindset, your energy, your thoughts around it, your do creates a bigger mess. Have you ever tried to motivate yourself to get something done? And the more you motivate yourself to keep working on it, the more it seems like the project never ends. More and more things come up. More and more things have to be done. You spend hours and you're not any further. Yeah, that's because motivation is not the answer. I actually am very anti-motivation. I am all about inspiration. So what's the difference? Inspiration is what I call those divine downloads. When you just have that aha, that thought that just randomly pops in your head, that thing that you weren't really choosing to think about anything, but you got this idea and it's just a fantastic idea. That's inspiration. And inspiration is linked very closely to your intuition. Intuition is being able to listen to those silent or subtle nudges that are happening. I always had a thing. I was a little bit jealous of spiritual healers when they would tell you that they can hear things. Oh, spirit is telling me this. Oh, spirit is saying. And I used to sit there and be like, well, I want to hear spirit. I want somebody talking into my earpiece telling me exactly what I'm supposed to do. And I really thought it was somebody speaking directly to you. Like, you're out and about and, oh, spirit told me I had to go this way. And I really thought it was like your phone reading map directions. Turn left at the next stoplight. That's what I hoped it was. I thought I was missing out on something. I thought that I must not be tuned in enough to hear my intuition because I don't hear somebody talking to me. But intuition talks to you in a lot of different ways, and it's very, very subtle. Intuition can be something like deja vu. Oh, I feel like I've done this before. Intuition can be like, I don't know why, but I got goosebumps. The hairs on my arm are standing up. It can be more subtle and it can just feel like all of a sudden I'm not breathing as well as I used to be. Or I feel that what they call a pit in my stomach, the tension in my stomach. These are subtle signs in your physical form from your intuition, letting you know that you're kind of sort of pointed in the wrong direction. Now, I will put an asterisk next to that call out of the goosebumps because for me, goosebumps are not a bad thing. Goosebumps are, oh, you're way pointed in the right direction. Goosebumps are a hell yes from my intuition, but hair standing up on the back of your neck, that cold feeling that washes over your body, those are intuition. When things are really bad in my marriage, I didn't want to believe my intuition because my intuition, the thoughts that were coming, felt so painful. Now, a part of my journey was being able to rewire fear because fear had taken over the majority of my life. I felt that scared feeling, anxiety would be the other word for it, a panicky feel, like I can't quite settle down and I can't sit still and I don't know what's going on. But I could tell now, I can tell that my breathing becomes short. My heart rate becomes rapid. There's a tension through my upper back and through my shoulders. There are physical sensations that fear stirs up in my body. So, fear and intuition, I lost the ability to tell between the two because my fear had been so out of control. I remember one night specifically, there are random memories that seem to be ingrained, right? There is a lesson still living in them. But there was one night specifically when I had stayed home and my then husband had gone out. He went to meet friends, hang out at the bar, whatever they were doing. And I just remember being worried that my family was not safe. And I didn't know if this was like car accident worry. I didn't think it was that, but I felt like there was something at play that was going to risk my family. Got down on my hands and knees, sat on the floor and rocked, back and forth, creating almost a protection spell. Now, at this point, just stay with me. If you are out there and you're like, Erica's about to go off the deep end, hey, remember what this club is called? We are the Crazy Ex Wives. There is a good deep end. There is a deeply connected, intuitive side. In college, I studied a class on religions, and witchcraft was one of them. So, casting spells and understanding when it's good and bad, that's kind of like the first tiptoeing into what it really means to work with energy. We're not getting into witchcraft here today, you guys. I am not advocating for that. I am just saying you probably have heard about casting spells in terms of witches. I wanted to cast out a white light, a protective white bubble around our family, my husband, my son, and myself. I wanted to take all of my internal love and energy and create a safe space. Now, on the logical side, if I translate this for y'all, it's the feeling that you get when you come in your house. Does your house feel really warm and inviting? Does your house feel a little stressed? What's the feel of the room? That is no different than casting a bubble of energy around somebody. And you can do it all the time. You can do it as like, I just want to beef up this vibe that I got going on so that other people can't affect it. So back to the story. Here I am on the floor casting this protective bubble. And I just was rocking back and forth. I was obsessed with this idea that I needed to protect my family. My intuition was telling me something needed to be done. Intuition is these subtle feelings. You don't know what it is, you don't know why it is, but it is when you need to tap into what is your body asking you to do? Does it want me to move? Bouncing, walking. I wouldn't quite say exercise. It's like jiggling, shaking. If you shake your hands and your arms, doing arm circles, twisting at your waist and letting your arms swing side to side, these types of movements. What does your body want you to do? Does it want you to wrap up in a blanket? Does it want you to go get something? Those are your intuitions. Here's what I'm going to tell you. You probably have heard them and you probably just didn't want to believe them. And the longer you felt your intuition, and the longer you ignored it, the more fear took over, and it became very hard to distinguish what was fear and what was intuition. I had ignored my intuition for so damn long, and fear had become so strong that I didn't know if when those things hit, oop, my radar has gone off. I need to be on high alert. Is that because I'm intuitively picking up on something, or is that because fear is trying to keep me safe? Now, your intuition, these feelings you get in the body, it really is your nervous system. Your nervous system is the logical side, the processing side of energy. We got feels all around us. Your nervous system is the part of your body that picks up and tunes into it. So, my nervous system was sending off the signals. Be warned, be on the lookout, something is amiss. I didn't know, was this fake fear that my ego was creating, or was this true intuition? Because I had ignored myself for so long. So I started to play a game. I needed to rebuild my intuition, and I could rebuild my intuition, the ability to trust myself that I knew what I needed to do, by playing little games. I would play the game of which elevator is going to come first. I would play the game of when will the street light turn colors. I would play the game of, ooh, can I guess what is for dinner in the cafeteria today, right? Or for lunch in the cafeteria today. Start to ask yourself to tune in to your own intuition. I guarantee that for most of you, you can't find your intuition because we stopped listening to it a really, really, really long time ago. And so your nervous system is now on high alert every time something gets spiked. And so you're sitting there and you're asking yourself, is this real? Now, I will share another very personal story with you on how I ignored my intuition. A couple years after having my son, I was having a lot of challenges with pH balance. Well, you other moms out there are probably well aware, right? But I was having a lot of issues and often at the doctor for a BV infection. You know, you got BV, you got yeast. They're different sides of the pH scale. I just couldn't seem to kick it. Now, this is also pretty typical of BV because it means that the pH level in your system is not set appropriately and the microbiome is off. And so, like anything, it keeps growing in the wrong direction. Anyways, this time I had gone to the doctor. And it was late. So I had gone to like a walk-in clinic. My then husband was at work. I had to bring my toddler with, and the doctor is this poor doctor. This is the funny part of the story. Okay, he was like a brand new doctor, like a brand new doctor on emergency walk-in, which is usually what? Like I have a headache or I have a, like I broke something. Not doing a pelvic exam on a woman with her toddler in the room. Okay, this poor kid, I tell you, he had to be at least 10 years younger than me. I'm dying laughing. Anyways, back to the story. He does the exam and runs the culture. It comes back and he's like, "Yep, I'll give you some antibiotics and, the normal." And he's like, "But I have to ask, one of the things that causes these to be more prevalent is, do you have any concerns that your spouse is cheating?" And even right now as I say that, I have like head to toe cold flash. And so he asked me that. And I couldn't honestly answer because I already knew. I already knew that, yes, I was concerned that he was cheating, but I could not come to terms with the fact that that might be a reality. And it's those tiny ways in which we avoid our intuition. There was shame, like, oh my God, what if my husband is cheating on me? There was guilt. How am I going to be able to get through this? And what is happening to us? All of these pieces. And so instead of saying, hey, this was a hint, this was that intuitive moment of, you need to go have some conversations. You need to really look at the facts because you've been finding all these little pieces. I'd find jewelry in his car, but he worked in a retail store. He said he picked it up off the floor and it was in his pocket because, it can't be left on the retail floor. There was always an excuse, but I chose not to believe what it would mean if it were really true. We ignore our intuition all the time, but you can build back your connection to your intuition. It is just like a muscle. It is like your sixth sense, and everybody has access to it unless you don't want to have access to it. It's not for everybody. Maybe you don't, and that's okay, unless you don't like where you're at right now. And if you don't like where you're at right now, would you not like to learn how to speak another language to understand things on a different level? Because that's really what your intuition is. We communicate in lots of different ways. We communicate with what we see. Let me see if I can remember this. So communication comes from words, tone, and body language. Words only accounts for 7% of what we communicate. So when you text, you're actually communicating the most inefficiently. It doesn't leave any room for tone and it doesn't leave any room for body language. Tone is the next one. I think it's in the teens. The intonation, right? Do you sound happy? Do you sound angry? How are you? How are you? Tone. Same words, different question. And then body language. Are we making eye contact? Are our arms crossed? Are we tapping our foot? Are we leaning in? Are we leaning away? Body language accounts for the majority of communication. So when we're communicating and we can't see anybody, we really have the biggest chance of creating miscommunication. Intuition is just learning almost like a fourth option in there. So right now we communicate with words, tone, body language. Intuition is communicating through feels and energy. It's communicating through feels, but the feels are created by energy. What else are you picking up? What is somebody, they're not saying it, they're not showing it, you can't hear it in their tone, but what underlying vibe are you getting from the conversation? That's intuition. It just gives you an added way to understand and read the world. If you want to build your intuition, invite it in. Say, "Hey, I want to learn. I want to learn how to read my intuition." Now, there's lots of different ways. Some people do hear words. Some people see pictures or visions. My intuition often comes to me in dreams because then I'm not controlling my thoughts anymore. So when I get to that disconnected state, I know I'm awake, but my body is no longer feeling like connected to me. That's when I can start to allow myself to flash some visions that I want to see. There's senses, there's all sorts of ways, but you just have to start to play around with it. Hey, I want to follow my intuition. The first step, follow your desire. What do I want to do next? Do I want to have tea or coffee today? What feels better in my body? What am I feeling like my body wants? Ooh, my body wants coffee. Okay. Go get a coffee. It comes to lunch. Ooh, what does my body want? What do I feel like I want? Intuition is just strengthening your desires. Your physical self will lead you towards what it needs to create the best balance or the best experience, just like essential oils. So, my 20 years in corporate America was spent talking about a lot of essential oils and yummy smells. But did you know that your body will be drawn towards the essential oil that it needs for balance? Now, essential oils, not only do they smell good, but they actually create a physical response in the body if they are actually plant. If they are chemically created, not going to work. But if they are plant based, they actually are able to interact with you on a deeper or cellular level. They can cause your nervous system response to kick on or to kick off. It also ties into memory response, past experiences you've had with that essential oil. So, today, you smell your essential oils, right? Do you need to be energized? Do you need to be soothed? Do you need to feel loved? You will pick a different essential oil based on what your body needs for balance that day. Your mind, body, spirit, they're all working together. We don't want to acknowledge it. We don't want to tap into it. But when you're ready to start to tap into it, now you do not have to start all of a sudden like seeing spirits and translating messages. Not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about just being able to understand your own inner nudges and guidance. What do I desire to do next? What feels best in my body? What am I drawn to want to do? Do I want to take this road or this road? I still play that game with myself. I'll be driving somewhere and I'll be like, ooh, which way feels better? Well, I want to go to the right. Okay. Through town, there's a couple different ways I can get from the start of town to the end of town. I can play that game. Which of the three routes do I want to drive today? See what happens. See, maybe you pass somebody else that you know. Maybe it gives you enough time to remind yourself that you need something at the grocery store at the other side of town. Who knows? That is as simple as intuition can be. It's there to help guide you and further you down your path. If you've lost your connection to your intuition, start small, little things. What do I most feel like next? Play the elevator intuition game. Allow yourself to be guided by those nudges. Those nudges will get stronger and stronger and stronger. They're there helping you achieve what you want to achieve. We have all shut them down because we spent a lot of time not wanting to look at the fact that our marriage really is over. So I'm going to speak to the ladies who are listening that are still married but aren't sure. Is it that you just do not want to acknowledge what really needs to happen? Or is it that there really is opportunity left to fix? For me, I couldn't acknowledge it because I was scared to death on what it meant for how I was going to start over. How was I ever going to have the life I wanted? How was I ever going to have the family I wanted? I wanted 2 kids. How was I ever going to be able to afford it? How was I going to restart my life this late in life? Life was over at 35. I might as well just give up. I was scared to death. That was all fake smoke and mirrors that my mind had created trying to keep me small. Now, in those 2 years, the first year, scared to death of our separation. I was desperate to find any solution to make him come back. The second year, I started to find me. I started to stand up for what I wanted. I started to realize what I wanted. That fear was trying to keep me somewhere that I no longer really needed to be, but I wasn't ready to move forward. And that's okay too. We move forward when we're ready. But to be ready to move forward, we really need to look at the things that we are refusing to acknowledge. Are we staying because it's what we really want? Or are we staying because we are afraid of what that will mean? It does not matter what they are doing. It matters what you are doing. What do you want? How do you want to be treated? What do you need in a relationship? And how do you want to show up in a relationship? A lot of times we lose our ways too. I lost my way. I was not the wife I wanted to be. I was crabby and I was short and I was angry and I was overwhelmed. That's not cool. And I own that. And I apologized for it. And then I said, I commit to not doing that. I commit to not being that again. Can you commit to showing up and working on this? Your intuition is there. It is trying to tell you something, and you know how to listen to it. We've just lost our connection to it because we have become so busy. We have become a world that is so reliant on logical choices. What is the best price? What is the fastest route to take to get there? Logical choices versus guided, intuitive choices. Start small, start rebuilding your confidence in your intuition, and know that that connection can be made again. And it's when you start to build that connection again, when you start really listening to what your insides are telling you, that then it can start to lead you forward into building the life that you really want to have. I didn't get to where I was at by creating logical choices. A lot of them were very not logical. A lot of them were very led by what I call a daily desire practice, not a sexual desire practice. That is part of it, and we'll save that for another episode. But a daily desire practice of what do I desire to do next? What just lights my soul up and feels so good? And when I followed the things that lit me up, true magic could absolutely happen. You'll get there one day and one step at a time. First thing we need to do is get you clear, get you starting to reconnect to your intuition and starting to trust what it's telling you. If it's telling you that your marriage is over, I'm sending you so much love and so much hugs because that is a thing to grieve. And then you can listen to all the stories from the other side episodes and know that you will make it through. If that is the answer for you, you will make it through. You'll make it through grit and determination, through accountability, and through learning how to truly create the life you want to live, not by changing the people who are in it, but by changing you. Before we sign off today, I just want to give another shout out to the Holiday Heart to Heart program. If you're here in the US, last week was Thanksgiving. How did it go? Were you tripping over unexpected emotions and things that came up? Was it easy to get through? We have less than 30 days to get through the remainder of this holiday season. And the Holiday Heart to Heart runs just like a private podcast. You can stream it on the go. It's got audio episodes for you to listen to on your phone or in the car. It has a 40-page journal to guide you through how to rewire these emotions so they stop catching you, so they stop hurting so bad. It's there for you. You guys go grab your copy, download and start streaming it today. The link is down below in the show notes. You can also find more on the crazyexwivesclub.com. And that's it. Another great episode of the Crazy Ex-Wives Club, a podcast for women learning how to heal from their divorce. Tune in next week for more advice and tips to help you figure out life after divorce. And until then, give yourself grace, do the best you can, and know that this is all part of the process.